tomato juice. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can't you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? No. In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely! I couldn't have said it better myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. Oh no, she said it's already messy, but then she said she broke the vase afterwards. So it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corridor? I understand your frustrations and not being able to prove your theory, however, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Grr. And then what did you see next, witness? And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. So it was messy already, but the vase wasn't broken until afterwards then, okay. Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. Well... the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. I mean, there's a knife... there's a knife in his chest. Unless the knife wasn't there. I mean, there's a giant knife in his chest. Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. And then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. The juice was right in front of him. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see, and after that, what happened next? When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Yeah, but no, you said the room was messy when you first came in. And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. He has a knife in his chest. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards and knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides. And Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now's our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? I'm gonna first present the photo because he has a knife in his chest, so the idea that you didn't think he was dead is kind of weird. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah! What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corridor's chest. Anyone who saw the scene would have immediately thought that there was a dead man. Somebody stabbed him in the chest. No, he doesn't seem dead to me. He seems fine. I mean, maybe he's asleep or something. It's but a flesh wound. That's, well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted and then nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie! And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer! No! Wait. Edgeworth said that this testimony should not make her incriminate herself. And so she testified, and after she testified, it immediately turned out that she incriminated herself. Did Edgeworth just completely mess her up? She only agreed to testify because she agreed that this would not incriminate her. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. Oh man, Edgeworth just completely lied to her. The defendant, Mr. Matt on guard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible! You're wrong! Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I'll give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. You already did. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matongard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. He's changed. He used to want guilty verdicts, now he wants the truth. The absolute real truth? What are you? Witness! Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matongard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie! I don't believe you! What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is. Yesterday she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? Maybe, maybe not. All we have to do now is get out not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone, help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. I mean, it probably wasn't her. She probably didn't do it, but she covered it up. She didn't kill him, but she covered it up for somebody else. The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who is the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Request not guilty verdict, force Andrews to testify. I want to force Andrews to testify. I think Edgeworth is right. I'm gonna force Andrews to testify. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. That's not why I said it. I don't give a crap about her. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. On Guard would get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. Yes. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this, however. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop. Please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. Ah, that's the second part of the suicide report, the attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? Is this blackmail? Is this blackmail? I think this is blackmail. I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop, I beg you. If people find out, ow. If you're going to say you would choose death, that is no concern to me. Now that's a prosecutor. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. So will you tell the court yourself or should I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. Alright. What did you do? When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. Alright. Stab the body with the knife? But why would you do that? To protect the real killer. Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man! What? What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth! The real killer is Matt! The scumbag of a man, I'll never forgive him. What, are you saying? Okay, she's saying that Matt killed Juan and then tried to pin it on her. So she turned it around to pin it on him. So like, Matt set up the relationship between Andrews and Juan or something, and then killed Juan and then tried to make it look like Andrews killed her. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time. So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime! What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Apparently not. Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. This freaking story, man. Come on. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is a part of the Jammin Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. How do you know? I knew because one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. Wait a minute. If Matt did it, why do you have to pin it on him? Why don't you just let the evidence... I don't know. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash to Matt's room. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time I couldn't control my own body, it moved on its own. Then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Matt on guard's Hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nico Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is the secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nico Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real killer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. On Guard's room and planted the button into Matt's hakama. Yes, I put a button in his pants. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does all this mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt On Guard! Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. First of all, Vankama is guilty of tampering with a witness again. Why isn't she in prison? What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor! The defense still... Right! It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. She covered it up, but apparently she didn't kill him. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Hey, nice chair. Look at that pattern. Oh, look at that! His fingers fit between the spikes. His fingers fit between the spikes? Is that how he got his spikes? Today's trial's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness! Would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth! What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. That card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. Oh, good! New evidence! New evidence presented at this convenient time to progress the story for us. The room. That day. Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body. I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. Unconsciously. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Of course it has. Of course it has, lady. Yeah, I guess not. No, what are you, crazy? But it's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Witness! That card, give it to me, hurry! Edgeworth, do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This! I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! Stupid. This is so stupid, come on. She's been holding it the whole time. It is implausible. This story is not plausible. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card! What in the world is it? And what does it mean? I mean, I've said it before, they're just putting drama before logic. Alright, let me save the game. See you next time, I guess.